In this video, as you can see from the title, I'm giving you my Halloween franchise movie rankings from worst to best. Now, the way this is going to work is that I'm just going to give you my rankings. I did reviews on all of these films. I'll leave a link to those in the description box below. You can check that out. Now, it's pretty simple. I'm going to say why I didn't like it, starting with the worst, and then why I liked it going forward. So, let's begin. Number 13 on my list of the Halloween movie franchise ranking is Halloween Ends. Listen, this movie didn't make any sense at all, and it was just not cohesive, and to make it the showdown, the final showdown between Laurie and Michael, and only giving us 5 minutes, it just didn't work. There were so many aspects that could have worked, but it just didn't, which is why this is number 13 on my list. Number 12 is Halloween Kills. Yes, these last two films that have come out are just not what the lore aspect is of the Halloween franchise in the movies. Michael Myers isn't much prominent in Halloween Ends, and then in this one, Laurie Strode isn't much prominent. It's more focused on certain things. I kind of like the aspect of the evil dies tonight thing, with everything in the whole town coming together trying to kill Michael Myers, but it just didn't work. So number 12 is Halloween Kills. Now, number 11 on my list is Halloween Resurrection. Yes, I would just want to call this the Busta Rhymes Halloween movie because after certain aspects of the story, it just went downhill. They tried to capitalize on the internet genre, the found footage genre, and it just didn't work at all. It was more comical and not as scary, and Michael Myers didn't feel threatening. So number 11 on my list is Halloween Resurrection. Number 10 on my list is Halloween 2, the 2009 Rob Zombie sequel to his film Halloween. Cinematically, this movie is very, very beautiful. There are certain aspects to it that are immensely amazing, but the story didn't feel cohesive at all, and it felt like out of place. We understand the lining factor of how the Halloween film that Rob Zombie directed ended, and the trauma that the main character Laurie goes through in this second movie. And seeing with the white woman, the white horse, was just kind of like, okay, what is happening? What's going on? The aspect of it all didn't make any sense, but cinematically, it's a beautifully shot film. Number 9 on my list is Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Now, this is where things get interesting because the studio was like, let's make Michael Myers come back because he is the focal point in this. And they did. Basically, it was pretty simple. It was pretty straightforward. Seeing Donald Pleasence back after the events of Halloween 2, where he evidently died with Michael Myers in that explosion, is really interesting. Halloween 4 is really synonymous because it actually made sense in a way where you brought back this character, but then who else can Michael go after? Oh, he can go after his niece. And it was great. Seeing Donald Pleasence back was really, really fun. But I feel like it just didn't have that aspect where it could work. Now, number 8 on my list is Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Yes, I liked Revenge a little bit more than I did 4. Reason being is that it connects everything together after how Halloween 4 ended. And then with Halloween 5, it just picks up. Like, what's going to happen? The aspect of seeing the horror realm and the element to it was really, really well done. Donald Pleasence gave a phenomenal performance, and he is just that matriarch in those Halloween movies. After Halloween 2 in 1981, who can continue this franchise? Donald Pleasence did for a few more films. Now, the aspect of how everything goes on from there is great. This was a really fun film, and the ending was really, really interesting, and just like, okay, did they really just do that? And which was absolutely shocking for that matter, and just how it ended, especially with the whole introducing the Man in Black theory, which is why Halloween 5 is number 8 on my list. Now, number 7 on my list is Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, or Halloween 6. I absolutely love this. Over the course of the time, we have that aspect of what's, going on with everything, the lore. And after the events of Halloween 5 and how this continued on, it was good. The mask of how everything looked on Michael was more menacing and different than what you saw in the previous films of how the Halloween Michael Myers mask was, from the iteration of the 1978 version all the way up until The Curse of Michael Myers. Any horror movie that has the name Curse in it as a title or a subtitle always is going to be interesting just to see how things work. And in this, it worked. Now, the ending is kind of shocking because it was edited down immensely. The final theatrical cut you see is not the final cut. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, there is a director's cut where we see the actual full length. We see why Dr. Loomis screams at the end, and you can make your own interpretation about it. Paul Rudd in this is absolutely fantastic. All these actors that start out in horror movies are great. Paul Rudd's character, really, really underrated and really, really fun. Seeing Paul Rudd in a Michael Myers film is absolutely tremendous because you can see how his character progresses over time in this film while certain things are happening behind, how everything works. Michael Myers in this was more brooding, hulking, much more, I want to say, heavier on the weight scale of how Michael Myers usually looks. But it was a fun film, which is why Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers is number 7 on my list. Number 6 on my list is Halloween H2O. Now, when this first movie came out, we were like, Halloween H2O, Halloween water? What does it mean? No, H2O just stands for Halloween 20 years later. This came out in 1998 and took place 20 years after the events of the first movie that starred Jamie Lee Curtis. Now, the aspect of how everything is done is really fun because the character of Jamie Lee Curtis, once again, is going into hiding, and she has to escape Michael, and she finds out the reason he came back. The horror elements are really interesting in this because it's different. It felt like a Halloween movie. The kills were absolutely amazing and tremendous, and it really made sense. The aspect of Michael Myers being scary was there. Him in the shadows, you see him in the distance, turn around, all of a sudden he's like not far away from you, was really captured really well. And the aspect of the ending was a pure, amazing ending. Having Laurie Strode chop off the head of Michael Myers was done really, really well. That was an end to the franchise, synonymously. But, when people found out that there was another movie, it's like, how can you redo that? Oh, Resurrection, let's make him say like it wasn't actually Michael who she killed. And, it was horrible. It was interesting, but the way it was done was great. I love the story aspect to it, and the ending was just wow. When I first saw this in theaters and the crowd erupted in a roar of applause and screams when she cut off Michael Myers' head. Very different, very iconic, but you always know that when that scene happens, you think to yourself, that should have been the end. Now, if you're keeping track, you're probably like, okay, what is the top 5? Well, let's get to it. Number 5 on my list is Halloween 2, 1981. Now, this was really done really well. John Carpenter didn't want to make a sequel to Halloween. He thought that the story was that's pretty simple. Whatever happens, happens. Now, the ending of Halloween 1, we know Dr. Loomis shoots Michael off the balcony. He looks out, the body's not there. They shot 2 endings, one with the body there, one without the body there. So what do you think the studio went with? Let's make a sequel. So that's what they did. Jamie Lee Curtis came back. She actually wore a wig because she was doing a different film at the time. Now, the whole aspect of the hospital setting was fun. The Michael Myers going in and out of the doors. Certain characters just doing their fun things. Adults acting like teens, having sex in rooms was great. Dr. Loomis, still on the hunt for Michael Myers, was absolutely fun. And the ending was surprising and weird, but the explosion, Michael die, and then Laurie Strode is the sole survivor. That's it. That's what happens. And it was a fun film. It's great. It still captures the essence of the very first film, Halloween 1978, but as it progressed, it was really done really, really well, which is why it's number 5 on my list. Number 4 on my list is Halloween 2018. When 40 years later, I mean, come on, what can you do 40 years later? And, well, they did that. They changed the story immensely. Jamie Lee Curtis came back as Laurie Strode, but they changed it where Laurie Strode and Michael Myers aren't brother and sister. Laurie Strode is just a survivor who survived the attacks of Michael Myers 40 years ago. She went into hiding, and now he escaped. She's going after him. The aspect of what this story was good. The only downfall is the doctor twist in it. You take that part out, you edit that part out, and you edit together other scenes that actually flow in the essence of this film. It's a phenomenal film, and it really, really works. The whole thing about it is that the ending was how it should have ended. We didn't need Halloween kills. We didn't need Halloween ends. We just needed this one film, and that was it. Laurie finally got to Michael Myers along, and she defeated him with her daughter and granddaughter. That's a powerful, empowering image to see, and that's how it should have ended. And number 4 is Halloween 2018 on my list. Now, number 3 on my list is Halloween 2007, the Rob Zombie directed movie. Rob Zombie is not known for, horror films. I mean, he's done House of a Thousand Corpses, The Devil's Rejects, and everything, which I feel like The Devil's Rejects is one of his best films. Halloween 2007 had the tropes and took the essence of what the 1978 version was, but just elevated it. Rob Zombie added the effect of having and going into the lore of when Michael was young. What is he like as a boy? What caused him to do all these things? And how did he meet Dr. Loomis? Malcolm McDowell is great as Dr. Loomis, but I feel like we needed more scenes with him. And as the story progressed and as it went on within the last few, I want to say hour and a half to an hour, we understand what Michael needed and Michael wanted and why he went after Laurie. The killings are great. They're original. They're different. But the aspect of how Rob Zombie captured everything was so good. The ending is what makes this movie. The ending is great. Laurie is on top of Michael. She has her gun and then she shoots it. Doesn't go off. A couple more times and then bang. Gun goes off. She kills Michael. Blood all over her. She screams and that's the end of the movie. This movie worked so well. But what didn't work is knowing that there was a sequel after this, and it just made no sense at all. This is probably one of the greatest Michael Myers endings in the Halloween franchise because it's unexpected and it's just her screams are piercing to the ear and it's so shocking, it's so emotional that she just went through all this during the whole movie and she finally got what she wanted and she finally killed her brother. Which is why number 3 is Halloween 2007, the Rob Zombie directed movie. Number 2 on my list is the original Halloween from 1978, directed by John Carpenter. Yes, it's number 2 on my list. The aspect of how everything is in this movie is great. There is no blood. There is no gore. There's barely any aspect of that killing feeling of it. The way it starts is great. The way John Carpenter shot this film was great. The essence of the music, Jamie Lee Curtis, a killer going after babysitters, which is what it was called, the Babysitter Murders or something like that, I believe. And it was just made for fun. John Carpenter wanted to make a horror movie, and he did that. And the way cinematically it was shot was absolutely so amazing. If you're a filmmaker and if you want to watch a horror movie and you want aspect of scares, you want aspect of no blood, no gore, Halloween is that film to watch because it just captures the essence of what pure evil is. It's done real well. I had a blast watching this. I always have a blast watching this because it's different and fun. Michael going into the shadows, coming out, going in was great. Donald Pleasance as Dr. Loomis was even better. He also made this film worth watching. Knowing that Christopher Lee passed up on this role of Dr. Loomis could have changed everything if he was cast. But Donald Pleasance really is what made this film and also the story and how everything worked out. Which is why number 2 on my list is Halloween, the original from 1978. So after all these films, and if you're keeping track, what is my number 1 favorite Halloween franchise movie or the ranking? Well, number 1 on my list is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Yes, it's not a Michael Myers film at all. The basis of it was that after Halloween 2, they wanted to start a new franchise where each entry was a different story. This one was Halloween. Halloween 4 was supposed to be about haunted houses. And then Halloween 5, I believe, was supposed to be about ghosts, thereon and so forth. Didn't work. People didn't like it, which is why Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, happened a few years later after this. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch is absolutely great. It's gained a cult following, but it's such a well done film that people don't like it. People don't like it to the aspect of, why is it called Halloween 3? There's no Michael Myers in it. That's what makes it an even better film. Michael Myers is not in it at all. Halloween 2, I want to say, in 1981 was the final entry in the franchise. But then, dollar signs and Hollywood, you got more Halloween movies with Michael Myers. If they kept the tempo of how everything was with Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, it would have been great. Kids wear masks, they watch a television show, they're brainwashed, and this mask does something to them. It was great, and the character of Tom Atkins was really, really fun. He brought a whole dynamic. He is that horror actor of the 1980s you love to see, and it really worked really well. The aspect of the droids, the way things are done, the Silver Shamrock, like the Happy Happy Halloween Silver Shamrock song, it'll get stuck in your head for a few weeks to a month when you watch this movie. The scares are there, but the people that are in this film are not really paying attention to that, and the aspect is because Tom Atkins, as the character, knows what's happening, but he tries to stop it. In my opinion, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch has the best ending of all time in a horror movie. And that is when Tom Atkins is on the phone trying to say, okay, there's so many commercials on, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off, or shut it off, shut it, stop it, stop it, stop it. He screams into the camera, and that's it. Fades to black, credits roll. One of the greatest endings in a horror movie, and some might say it's not a horror movie, but more so of a sci-fi film, but it works to a point, which is why it's number 1 on my list for my top Halloween movie franchise rankings. It works and it's fun. It's not played on TV because people don't see it as a Halloween movie. They just think, oh, Halloween, Michael Myers, that's it, let's just move on. Bar none. Halloween Kills, the sequel to Halloween 2018, had an Easter egg where the masks in Halloween 3 did show up with the pumpkin, the witch, and the ghost, or the skull for that matter. It was fun. It was great. Halloween 3 is so much different than what you think about a horror movie. If you've never seen it, sit down and watch it. It's really, really fun. Even the opening credits of Halloween Ends played an homage to Halloween 3 Season of the Witch with the blue title context and everything. I loved it and it was fun. And this is why it's number 1 on my list. Some might agree, some might disagree, but hey, we all have our own franchise rankings of horror movies, and this is mine. So there you have it, my Halloween franchise movie rankings from worst to best. I know people say best to worst, but I figure let's change it up a little bit. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about my franchise rankings of the Halloween movies. Do you agree with them? Do you disagree with them? What are your rankings of the Halloween films? Let me know in the comment section below. And like I said, I will leave a link to each review of the Halloween movie franchise in the description box below. You can all check it out. And what is your favorite in the franchise? And what is your least favorite movie in the franchise? Let me know in the comment section below about all the questions I just asked. Thank you for tuning in, and have a happy Halloween.